Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire Geek, and a bit of news about Salem's Lot. Remember that? There's a new film coming out. Apparently it's been finished for ages. Stephen King has said, it's a great version of it, but, whatever. But anyway, Vanity Fair have done a first look at it with some images from the film, which I think don't look too bad. So, let's see. I think it's kind of more based on the 1979 Tobe Hooper miniseries rather than the book, I suspect, but I could be wrong. Or maybe it's a bit of both. Anyway, so let's have a look. Anyway, so I've got the article here. But before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. Right, so and all that stuff. It helps, but subscribe. Right, here we go. Add to stage. There we are. Vanity Fair. Salem's Lot lives inside the retro retelling of Stephen King's vampire story. Director Gary Dauberman, writer of It, explains how he both parts. I'm guessing both parts. Explains how he made a 70s infused midnight movie out of the small town saga. I can't remember when it was written. I know the Tobe Hooper version was 79, so it must have come out before that, the book. I've read the book. It's one of the cases where the TV miniseries I thought were actually better than the book. But anyway, I've never been a huge Stephen King fan. I think he waffles a bit. But anyway, and then we get an image. I think this is supposed to be. I forgot the bloody names of the characters now. Oh, dear, I'm blanking. Anyway, whatever. Who's the kid that's into monsters and stuff? Although I don't seem to be into monsters in this. But obviously he's got. Is it Ralphie Glick? It'll be Ralphie, won't it? Danny Glick is the one that first gets turned, and he changes his brother Ralphie into a vampire. It looks like that, floating outside the window. It looks appropriately spooky to me. But anyway, off we go. We will begin. I'll just read it. Is that big enough? Make that text a bit bigger. There you go. Sometimes it just takes a while to claw your way to the surface. That's how a lot of creators feel about their Hollywood projects. And it's true in multiple ways for the new adaptation of Stephen King's vampire tale, Salem's Lot. Not only is it about residents of a small town who get picked off one by one before rising up from the grave as night-stalking fiends. They don't really get picked off one by one, because they're saying the 79 version, it's a mathematical progression in it. 2 times 4 times 8. That's how it works. Anyway, but it has been a journey of many years, many more than expected, for writer-director Gary Dauberman, who signed on after proving his King bona fides as the screenwriter of It, and It Chapter 2. This looks like it's Father Callahan, who in the 79 version were in the Petrie's kitchen, wasn't they? And the Mark Petrie, who's the kid that's into monsters and stuff, it tells them about, I think, Ralphie Glick coming to visit him, and they think it's because of his interest in monsters, having delusions, and they get Father Callahan in, and then Mr. Barlow comes through the window and kills kills Mark's parents, and then lets the boy go to get the priest, to get the shaman. So looks like that, doesn't it, with his clawed fingers. So I'm hoping they're going for the Nosferatu type look of Mr. Barlow, like they did in Tobe Hooper's version, rather than in the book. It was basically Dracula. It looked like Dracula in the book. It was a remade, wasn't it, with I forgot, with Rutger Hauer as Mr. Barlow, and that wasn't a very good version. Oh, it says there, Father Callahan. There we go. Gets a talking to from Mr. Barlow. Ever since Warner Brothers moved Salem's Lot at the last moment from its original September 2022 release dates, with 2 years on, fans have been wondering when the movie might see the light of day. King himself also wanted to know. The author tweeted his frustration earlier this year saying, "Between you and me, Twitter, X, I've seen the new Salem's Lot, and it's quite good. Old school horror filmmaking, slow build, big payoff. Not sure why Warner Brothers is holding it back. Not like it's embarrassing or anything. Who knows? I just write the effing things." Salem's Lot had found itself caught in the crossfire of restructuring at parent company Warner Brothers Discovery, where some other nearly finished projects such as Batgirl and the Looney Tunes comedy Coyote vs. Acme were scrapped completely for the sake of tax write-offs. Will we ever see them? They've got to be in a vault somewhere. They won't have destroyed them. You know, every last copy has just been put through a shredder. There's got to be a copy somewhere. On a disk drive or whatever. There must be. Fans feared this King adaptation might suffer the same fate. But then rumours circulated that it was poised instead for a debut on Max. I had the same questions everybody else did, Doberman tells Vanity Fair, for this exclusive first look at the film. Though if it's getting a Vanity Fair first look, is that kind of a cool, good thing? I don't know. Do they do it a lot? Well, they do it with stuff like Star Wars and all that, don't they? Anyway. This movie was made at a time when that transition to the new ownership was happening, which was an interesting experience. At a certain point, it's out of your control. People were asking me, "Where's the movie? Where's the movie?" I wish I had an answer for them, other than a shrug and "I don't know." And there's Lewis Pullman as Ben Mears, getting a not-so-warm welcome from Constable Parkins Gillespie. It's no David Soul, is he? And who played Parkins Gillespie in the original? He went on to Kenneth Macmillan, yes. Did he go on to play Baron Harkonnen in David Lynch's Dune? Was that Kenneth Macmillan? Or it's somebody else? I can't remember. Anyway. Now he knows for sure Salem's Lot has successfully survived the crucible of corporate mergers and scheduled jousting. It will debut on Max this October. Ooh, smack in the midst of spooky season. Which is cool, so it should get, a good viewership. Why don't you just put it in cinemas or selected theatres, for Halloween? Anyway, I'm excited it's finally getting out there and people can see it, says Doberman. With the release mystery finally resolved, the primary question about the film now is how it handles this well-known story, which holds a special place in the hearts of many King fans. This is my favourite Stephen King story. The 1975 novel, there you go, that's answered my question, hasn't it? Was only his second book after Carrie, combining the gothic sensibilities of Bram Stoker's Dracula with the idyllic Americana of Norman Rockwell, because it's in a small town called Salem's Lot, with picket fences and all that stuff. It has been adapted for TV twice before, first as a two-part miniseries on CBS in 1979, directed by future Poltergeist filmmaker Tobe Hooper, I've heard it pronounced both ways, and it's amazing, it's one of the, I think it's the best TV horror thing ever made. I think it's astonishing. They could have put it in the theatres. I think they might have done actually, because they did release like a movie-length version, an edited-down version. And I think that might have been released in theatres, maybe in Europe or somewhere like that. But anyway, that version starred Starsky and Hutch actor David Soul in the lead role of a writer who goes home again, only to find his quaint Maine town infected by an unthinkable evil. Rob Lowe played that part in the miniseries remake that aired on TNT in 2004, which, I tried to watch once and didn't get very far into it. It wasn't very good, in my opinion. Oh, here we go. This is the cast. It looks like Father Callahan's taking a bigger role than he did in the 79 version. That's Mark Petrie, so they've race-swapped Mark Petrie, which is fair enough, whatever. And he looks younger than the Mark Petrie in the 79 version. Is that Alfred Woodard? Is it? Does it say? Yes, it is Alfred Woodard. There it was. Dr. Cody. All right. Ben Mears, and that's Susan Norton, Mackenzie Lee. That name rings a bell. Where have I seen Mackenzie Lee? Don't know. Anyway, after the mega blockbuster, she becomes his love interest, and spoilers! Oh no, I won't spoil it. After the mega blockbuster success of it launched a King Renaissance in 2016, Hollywood began blowing the dust off of the rights to other classic titles. Doberman, fresh of his directorial debut with 2019's Annabelle Comes Home. I like the Annabelle films. I've just got, can you see it there? The Conjuring Universe on Blu-ray. It's 7 of the films. It hasn't got the Nun 2 or Curse of La Llorona. Thank God, they're rubbish anyway. But it's got the Annabelle films on, and I'm one of those weird people that, I've said before, that I like the Annabelle films more than the mainline Conjuring films. I just do. Anyway. Where were we? Began lobbying New Line Cinema to give him a shot at Salem's Lot. I feel like it's a crown jewel in King's Library. And I always thought it would make a great movie, he says. Doberman's proposal was to actually not modernise Salem's Lot. Instead, he proposed keeping it retro and setting it in the hazy groove of a half century ago, when King first imagined it. The It and Annabelle movies are steeped in nostalgic eras, so it felt natural. Most of my stuff is set in the 70s. I love the music. I do love the costumes. Costumes? You mean clothes? We didn't wear costumes in the 70s. It's not Bridgerton. Anyway, I just love the vibe of it, Doberman says. And there's Susan on. This is probably where the first meet, because the meet, she's reading his book in the park or whatever, and he comes across her reading his book, Sky Dancer, by Ben Mears, and she says, "It's you, isn't it?" And anyway, checks out Ben Mears' best-selling book. I don't think it is it? I don't think he's a particularly successful writer. I think he does okay, because they say in it, when the police, when Constable Parkins is I forgot his name now. Constable Gillespie. He's checking him out, on the phone of the FBI or whatever. Can you check out this Ben Mears? He's an author. He's wrote book Sky Dancer and Somebody's Daughter. And he says, "No, I've not read it. I don't know many who have." So I don't think he's that successful. I don't think he's a household name author. Anyway, King's work covers a vast tonal spectrum, from the heart-wrenching realism of The Shawshank Redemption and Stand By Me, which were both novellas, weren't they? They were both essentially short stories, weren't they? To the schlocky camp of Creepshow and Graveyard Shift, which were written for the screen, weren't they? Most of the author's stories land somewhere in between, and Doberman tipped his version of Salem's Lot toward the more sensational side. It has Our Town overtones, but mirrors the lurid humour and macabre extremism of late-night grindhouse thrillers of its 70s era, when disco ruled, collars were wide, and midnight movies knew how to walk on the wild side. You could do a very dry version of this movie, but that's just not my personality, Doberman says. It's trying to ride that wave's ups and downs. You're having fun with it, and then you can have a scare, then you're having fun again. Hopefully it feels like a complete ride at the end. I hope I'm going to enjoy this. Obviously I'm going to try and get hold of it somehow. Legally, of course, and give it a watch. But I don't know, I'm liking the visuals. I'm liking the way it looks. I've seen other people on YouTube saying that they think it looks rubbish, but I think it looks fine. There we go, the Glick boys on an ill-fated trip through the woods. They take a shortcut from I forgot his name already. Mark Petrie's house. Take a shortcut through the woods, and that's when Danny Glick gets got, presumably by Mr. Straker. Spoilers, by the way, and taken as a gift for Mr. Barlow. Anywho, Lewis Pullman, Top Gun Maverick and Lessons in Chemistry, leads the Salem's Lot ensemble as author Ben Mears, a best-selling writer who has become persona non grata after publishing a book that was a little too true to life for the residents of his old stomping grounds. I've read the book, but I can't really remember if that's what happens in the book. Maybe it is, I can't remember. In the book, he wasn't from Salem's Lot. He lived there for a while, but then moved away, and he wasn't actually from there. I think his parents had died or something. I can't remember. And he went to live with an aunt who were a cleaner or something, or a maid at the Marston house, something like that. It's a long time since I've read it, but anyway. But in the '79 version, the Toby Hooper one, he was born in Salem's Lot, but in the book he wasn't. But anyway. He's like the perfect everyman, Doberman says. I wanted someone who could be the straight man to all the stuff that's going on around him, bringing some sort of groundedness to what's going on. During a visit back to Jerusalem's Lot to reconnect with his roots, Ben catches the eye of a local young woman named Susan Norton, Mackenzie Lee, a book lover who believes there must be more than this provincial life. Beauty and the Beast, isn't it? Is it Belle? She's a small town girl in a small town world. She's tried to get out of it, Doberman says. She sees this stranger coming into town and it's, please tell me what news you bring from afar. As their relationship grows, so we're going to have, bloody hell, I can't remember the names of the characters. Not Larry Crockett, Ned Tebbits. Ned Tebbits going to beat him up like he does in the 79 version and end up in prison. We will see. As their relationship grows, Ben discovers that the backbiting he remembers from the residents of his own town has been replaced with actual neck biting. This is thanks to a new resident, a flamboyant European bon vivant named Richard Straker, who opens an antique store on Main Street and moves into the dilapidated castle-like mansion that looms over the town. Straker, played by Danish actor Pilou Asbæk, I'm probably mispronouncing that. We've seen him in Game of Thrones and Ghost in the Shell. I've seen him in something else recently as well, and I can't remember what. But he's a good actor. I like him. Has a silent partner named Kurt Barlow, Kurt with a K, who only comes out at night and is a literal man-eater. Then we've got a long-time resident of Salem's Lot wakes up hungry. So I wonder if this is going to be the Marjorie Glick scene in the mortuary with Ben Mears and Dr. Norton, Susan's dad. That was a good scene. I like that. One of the better scenes. Bit crappy because they didn't have the effects, but a bit of an anticlimactic ending. But hopefully this time they'll give it do it justice. But see, teeth and stuff. I bet it is. I bet this is Marjorie Glick, but I could be wrong. Is it a woman? Looks like it, doesn't it? I bet it is. Anyway. Pilou is just effing crazy charismatic, Doberman says. I wanted him to really have fun with it and let him run with that character. And we had a lot of fun going, okay, do one more grounded take, do one a little bit more heightened, do one way over the top. It's no James Mason though, is it? It was James Mason in the original, we'll call it. Fashioning this Renfield henchman with extra savoir-faire is an example of how Doberman amped up the audaciousness of Salem's Lot, pimping him out in a purple cloak, feathered Homburg hat, and push broom moustache. This is a character who is not trying to lie low, and the townsfolk see him as exotic, rather than outcast. I was kind of wrestling with what this Straker was going to be. Is he going to be more like the book? Is he going to be more James Mason from the 1979 series? Doberman says. He's an outsider in this town. I think outsiders can sometimes be looked at as something very interesting. I think in the book, he looked more like Barlow did. I think in the book he was bald, with that pale skin. He looked more like Barlow did in the 79 version, but anyway, that swapped them around. Anyway, he's an outsider in this town, and I think outsiders can sometimes be looked at as something very interesting, where people start to lean in. Oh, this guy, he's opening this antique store, and he's got all this cool stuff. He's weaving his web and drawing people in, and there he is. So you'll know his face. That's Richard Straker. This is an old car he's got. Pilou Asbæk as the bon vivant Richard Straker, the ultimate gentrifier eager to lay claim to this nowhere town. As Straker, I think we're nearly done, as Straker harvests his master's initial victims, the first to vanish are two boys, Big Brother Danny and little Ralphie Glick. Have I got them the wrong way around? I thought Danny was the little one. Well, whatever. Nicholas Cravetti and Cade Woodward, respectively. Their friend, horror fanatic Mark Petrie, Jordan Preston Carter, has seen enough movies to know that he should keep his window locked when the sharp-toothed schoolyard pal is floating outside, but few adults are willing to believe his claims, apart from a kindly but weary old teacher, Matthew Burke, who was the... oh, bloody hell. Luares. It was Jason Burke, wasn't it, in the original Luares, who was the president of the 13 colonies of man in Battlestar Galactica. But anyway, this one is Bill Camp of the Queen's Gambit, who serves as this story's Van Helsing. But it don't really... I don't know, it might do a little bit. It doesn't have that much to do, apart from take care of Mike Ryerson in the 79 version and deal with what happens with that. But you don't see a huge amount of him. Anyway, Carter, who was only 13 when he filmed it, is the movie's breakout star. Doberman said the actor made most of an already dynamic character. He's got one of the best introductions in the book, where he effing punches the bully, the filmmaker says. But why? Why have that in? Maybe it's in the book, I don't know, but it's a long time since I've read it. But in the Toby Hooper version, it was a bit of a swatty kid, wasn't it? You know, but there were no bullies or anything like that. It was just there, and he'd written the school play or whatever, hadn't he? But anyway, the filmmaker said it's not the kid who gets beat up and then he goes home. He fights back and he stands up for himself. It pays off as we go through the story of seeing how he won't back down against the vampires either. Whatever, fair enough. And there he is. Who's that was with? Oh, that's Matthew Burke. As I said, Jason Burke in the original. What they're looking at. They're in the Marston house. So Matt said in the original, Jason Burke went nowhere near the Marston house, did he? He stayed at home essentially. We saw him at school. We saw him in a restaurant or pub or whatever it was with Ben Mears, and we saw him at home with Mike Ryerson, who turns into a vampire. Spoilers. And then he's in hospital. But then we don't see him. We're just told he's in hospital, and then we don't see him again. Does he get turned into a vampire? Dunno. In that version, I presume so. I think everybody did, didn't they? And the town burned down. Jerusalem's population begins to shrink day by day. The Glick boy's mother succumbs to a wasting illness soon after her sons go missing, but she surprises everybody by resurrecting in the morgue and lashing out with fangs and claws. I bet that's what we saw up there. That's enough to convince the local medical practitioner, Dr. Cody, Alfred Woodard, in the 79 version. It's Susan's dad, isn't it? Dr. Norton. So they've got a different person here. That something truly otherworldly is going on. Rounding out the group who rise up against this encroaching malevolence is the local priest, Father Callahan, Manhattan's John Benjamin Hickey, who could be a powerful ally if only he had more conviction. You've got to have faith for that to work. In a horror movie, you're going to go to the priest to help you, and the priest they go to is a reluctant hero, Doberman says. He wears the collar, but he's just broken. In the book, he is an alcoholic. He's a man of faith that doesn't have any faith. As I said, it's barely in the original TV version. Obviously, somebody's got out of the morgue. I bet they said the line or something. Well, they just didn't walk out of here, but obviously they did. Very few walk out of the morgue on their own. Anyway, the filmmaker's inspirations are scattered throughout his version of Salem's Lot as barely veiled homages. For instance, in what may be the book's most famous scene, an undead boy floating outside his best friend's window, Doberman has decorated Mark Petrie's room with a poster for the 1974 blaxploitation classic Sugar Hill. So I saw that picture at the top, and I was thinking, in the original, he had posters of the Wolfman and stuff like that, because they were into horror. And that's how he drove away Danny, Ralphie, Glick, whichever one of the Glick kids. Because he had a cross on a model, I think it was Frankenstein diorama or whatever, there were a cross on it from a gravestone. He used that, didn't he? Because he had faith. Anyway, about a woman leading a voodoo-powered gang of the undead in revenge against the mobsters who put a hit on her boyfriend. My tastes kind of go that way, the director says, and Salem's Lot itself was so heavily influenced by Dracula and other popular culture stuff that Stephen had watched and read. Even King's 80s era paperback for the book, featuring a pair of eyes hovering in the dusky nighttime hues, became inspiration for the scene in which the Glick boys are stalked in the woods. Doberman shot it monochromatically with their silhouettes against a bright blue background, while finalising the film with colourist Peter Doyle. My copy of the book. It's got the poster essentially for the 1979 miniseries on the cover. Anyway, while finalising the film with colourist Peter Doyle, the pair called up images of that old paperback cover to mimic its gradations of vivid, dripping red. And there's the Marston house. Got shades of the house from Psycho, hasn't it? Going up the hill. Anyway, there they are looking. There's obviously a reverse of the photo that we saw up there. The true believers regard the Marston house a mansion overlooking Salem's Lot, where the source of the vampire plague seems to originate. We're nearly done. The midnight movie aesthetic also helped shape another key sequence when the besieged heroes launch a counter-attack against the undead townspeople. Instead of going house to house as in the book, he set the sequence at an actual drive-in, with the bloodsuckers emerging from the darkness of their car trunks as the sun sets behind the giant white movie screen. It's this crazy sugar high of a scene, Doberman says. I thought, yeah, this is what this is. This is a drive-in movie. That's even a line in King's original book, in which one of the characters reflects on where she learned her Nosferatu lore. She had seen enough Hammer films at the drive-in on double dates to know that you had to pound a stake into a vampire's heart. The filmmaker believes that kind of outdoor venue would be the best setting to see his version of Salem's Lot, but since it will be presented exclusively on Max, he proposes viewers find a way to simulate the communal experience in front of their TVs, or get a projector, one of them projector things, and go out in the garden with the screen. As with most horror movies, I think audiences really elevate the experience, he says, so I think getting as many people as you can cram on the couch would be my preferred way to watch this. Was that it? Oh, that's it. There, we're done. I think it looks okay. I'm looking forward to this, actually. I don't want to get my hopes up in case it is rubbish, but from the images and the description, it's going to be different enough to the Toby Hooper one. Hopefully it's nothing like the Rob Lowe version, but, looks fine. Marston House looks appropriately spooky up on the hill, albeit a bit Bates Motel, but I don't wonder why they've parachuted in Alfred Woodard as the Doctor. Why not have Susan Norton's dad be that character, like in... As I said, I can't remember the book. I can't remember what happens in the book. Diversity, innit? That's what it is. It's diversity. But it's fine. But Alfred Woodard's amazing, so I'm sure she's great. That was cool. What are they looking at, I wonder what they're looking at. Something there, isn't there? They're looking at a shelf with some bottles and things on. I wonder what it is. I wonder what they can see. And there's Mr. Straker. It's no James Mason, is he? But I'm sure he does well. I reckon that's Marjorie Glick. I do. I hope she hasn't been embalmed. But I bet that's Marjorie Glick. I bet that is what she's got over her. That shroud is that. That's where she's going to wake up. So, are they coming in after then? So, as in the other one, it's Ben Mears and Susan Norton's dad. I forgot his bloody first name. Bill Norton. It's them two that encounter Marjorie Glick. So is this another thing, or is this somebody else that's gone from the morgue? Dunno. Could be anybody. And there's that one that they were talking about. The Glick boys who are going to come a crop. Well, one of them does. There she's reading his book. It does look familiar. I've seen it in something else, but don't ask me what. I'd go in the daytime as well. But it looks close to a sunset, doesn't it? Not long before the sun goes down. Anyway. Is it me, or am I getting supernatural vibe? It kind of looks a little bit like Jared Padalecki from Supernatural. Sam Winchester. A little bit of a vibe of that to me. To you, to me. Anyway, so, and I do like that, the long fingernails. That says Mr. Barlow. I'm hoping he's going to be a Nosferatu type, a monstrous vampire, not a Dracula type fella, you know, speaking and being all eloquent. I hope he's just like giving it all that. I'm hoping, but you never know. That's it. There's that. There's this Danny or Ralphie Glick. I can't remember which one. Does it say? Hang on. Just bear with me. Oh no, yeah. Ralphie's the younger one, right? Yeah. And Danny's the older one. I thought it was the other way around. Because to me, Danny sounds like a young kid's name, and Ralphie sounds like an old kid's name, but it's the other way around. Whatever. So this is Danny Glick outside. I wonder if he's going to be scratching on the let me in, and all that stuff. But not showing us, not a great photo, is it? Vanity Fair. Not showing us much. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. I hope it's going to be good. But I'm not going to build my hopes up too much. But anyway, we'll leave it there. I hope it's going to be okay. Right, so don't have nightmares about that. Is this going to be one we're going to be covering in Friday Night Appointment with Fear? We've done the original Salem's Lot. Look back. I think it was quite close to the beginning. I can't remember, but we did Salem's Lot a long time ago. Friday Night Appointment with Fear. But anyway, so we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching. Oh, hang on, I'm pressing the wrong button. Not my like. Thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other. And until next time, I'll see you there.